On AmericanFreedomRadio.com. If you would like to join us for the text chat tonight, that's over at TruthBrigade.com. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to give us a call at 402-237-2525. That's 402-AFR-2525. It is Thursday, so we are joined by Tobias Lars, author of Listening to the Sun and Awakening Souls, which you can find at soulcounseling.com. So good to have you back this Thursday. How you doing tonight, Tobias?
I'm doing good, pretty good. I've had a cocooning day. Sometimes,
I saw that on Facebook.
Yeah, sometimes we just need to take care of ourselves, you know. And so I've been doing that today.
Well, good for you. Good for cocooning. So just kind of taking a break from all the hustle and bustle?
You know when your cat sits on the windowsill and they close their eyes and they kind of curl their paws up and just start purring? That's cocooning right there.
Nice.
When the turtle pulls his head into his shell and kind of takes a nap. And it's really important to do.
Yeah, well, speaking of the cat purring, I don't know if it's that 528 love frequency vibration we hear about or that Dr. Horowitz speaks about, but I know that alone is like kind of a quick fix or, an easy way to get to, what we're going to be talking about tonight and feeling and experiencing and enjoying our light body, our energy body.
Yes. That's interesting. I just saw it somewhere. I've been saying it for years. I say when your cat's doing that, and I use it with clients in sessions as an image, to feel that sort of inward nurturingness. Because we look at cats, why do they purr? It irritates some people. Dog people are like, those cats are just selfish, and they don't really, that's because you can't.
Well, that's true.
Because you can't control them. You can't program them.
That's true.
As easily as you can your dog. So some people are irritated with cats, and then cat people get it. They're sort of like, don't tell me what to do. And I like cats because you can't control them. But they really are. There was some article somewhere I saw recently that said that is when the cats are healing themselves. They're actually healing their their immune system, or, if you ask the cats, they'll probably just say, oh, it just feels good.
Yeah, or ask the owner when the cat's lying on you doing that, or right on your heart. It certainly does feel good.
Yeah. And like Nikola Tesla said, if you want to know the secrets of the universe, frequency and vibration. If you want to know all the secrets of the universe, learn how frequency and vibration works. That's what Tesla said. Now, he was much more efficient, much more elegant, way ahead compared to Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison is the one who famously said, well, no, I've not failed 999 times before I found that 1,000th way to make the light bulb. I've just found 999 ways to make a light bulb that doesn't work. Well, I have to say, Mr. Edison, that's just fairly stupid and very inefficient. Why build 999 things that don't work? You're just wasting your time. Yet we hold him up as a model of what? Inspiration is 99% perspiration, meaning what? Work hard, because we want the masses to work hard and slave. And the bankers get to keep what? Banker's hours. I show up at 10, I sit in my office, I go to lunch for 2 hours, and then I go home. Because we're not meant to work hard, no matter what Wilbur the horse says. I'm joking. No, I'm trying to make light of it. But the way Tesla received his inventions, he would literally sit down, and in his mind, the same way Einstein did it, the whole thing would come complete. Just the way Paul McCartney says the song Yesterday showed up. He said, I woke up one morning and it was done. Inspiration, the word inspiritation, the spirit comes within you, entheos. Enthusiasm is from the words entheos. Theos, theology, theologian, is God, the divine. Entheos is God within. When Tesla did this, and he saw his inventions, that many of which were then carefully squirreled away because they were free energy for all of us, he would simply see it in his mind, and he would make one blueprint. That was it. And when asked, he said, well, why waste my time until I know it fully works? He would test it in his mind before he would put it on paper. Idiots, I'm sorry I'm being harsh here, but like Edison, be out there sweating in the workshop because he was programmed that... Edison is also the one, by the way, you can find old movies that Nine Inch Nails, Trent Reznor stuck in one of his videos, I think, of Edison with direct current, DC current, electrocutes an elephant. You can find that video of Edison for research purposes. I always love how they say that. It gives us license to torture things. Literally electrocutes an elephant with thousands of direct current volts. And now Tesla has been reduced to a footnote in modern-day history books for our kids. Oh, he's the inventor of alternating current, AC/DC, not the Australian rock group, although they're very cool. I happen to like the early singer the best, but anyhow, so Tesla has been reduced to a footnote in history because he was the inventor of alternating current, which basically made it safe for electricity. Because otherwise you would have to have direct current into your house, which means you couldn't send it over long distances. Anyhow, all his other inventions were wiped out once we heard the story. J.P. Morgan realized, oh, you can't put a meter on this, then we better shut it all down. The government kept him quarantined for the rest of his life. He died in a car accident walking the streets of Manhattan. As soon as he died, all his papers were confiscated for, quote, national security purposes.
Yeah, of course.
But so there is an inspiration way that Tesla did, that other people do, Einstein tapped into, of simply feeling it directly. And masters do this. You know, there's no mistake. God doesn't, or Spirit doesn't struggle, worry, stress, and, you know, it's inspiration. There it is. The song is complete. The book is written. The performance is there. It's perfect. See it as perfect. Come out, Lazarus. Step up and take thy bed. You know, it's the miracle is done instantly in that moment. There's not this struggleology. Struggleology is for people who like to keep people busy.
Yes.
I know I'm pushing the boundaries there some, but the fact is, work is a four-letter word that's going to go by the wayside. Work. 100 years from now, 250 years from now, we're not going to be doing work anymore on Earth. There'll be no such thing as work.
Okay, so are you suggesting that we're going to finally pay attention or recognize our inner power and knowledge within, and instead of having to write big, long papers, we would just put it out there with our mind?
Yeah, we're not going to pay attention to the tension inside ourselves anymore.
I like that. So 250 years I have to wait?
Actually, thousands of us alive now, thousands, will enter into the state of grace, into the ascended state, which is the topic tonight, of true ascension, where energy no longer decays. Energy doesn't decay, one of Newton's laws. There's no such thing as laws. There's human approximations trying to figure out the mystery of life. Slap my name on it because I have a big ego. Please, thank you. There's no laws. The laws are made to be broken. We all love that one. But Newton's limited suggestions at the time. By the way, how come they hide from us that Sir Isaac Newton, his main obsession his whole life was alchemy? Alchemy. He was an alchemist. He was trying to, and not only led to gold, but truly the spiritual alchemy. Instead, we have this little picture of him with the apple falling on his head, you know. Reduced reductio absurdum. I just made that up. Maybe it's a real Latin phrase. I don't know. But reduce it to the absurd, ridiculous soundbite of the time. It's I mean, and Newton invented the law of gravity. Wasn't it there before he named it? Didn't he just name it? Just because you name something doesn't mean you know what it is.
Yeah.
I love when doctors. I love this one, and I'm not originating this. A guy who does the Matrix seminars mentioned this. He says, that the Pope caught the doctors one time because his doctors forgot that he knows Latin. And they diagnosed the old Pope, not this one, with coxus malum, what's the name for old? But anyway, malum coxus something, which is Latin for bad old hip. And so the Pope just looked at him and said, all that means is I have a bad old hip. The doctors just make up fancy names so that you think it's some scary thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the obvious one is when they actually don't even bother. They just go, it's chronic fatigue syndrome.
Yeah.
What does that mean? We don't have no clue. You're just tired all the time. Now take these pills and go away. Mm-hmm. And anyway, just because you make up a name for something doesn't mean you know what it is. Mm-hmm. Naming things isn't knowing it. Knowing it is when you can feel it directly. Let's go back to cats. Cats don't care what you name them, but they know you probably better than you know yourself because they feel your what? Your vibration and energy, your frequency, vibration, and energy. Back to Tesla. That Tesla said, if you figure those out, you can know all the secrets of the universe. And that's why little 135-pound men like the Lithuanian immigrant in Homestead, Florida, could build something called the Coral Castle. All by himself, he moved 28-ton pieces of rock. Mm-hmm. How? The local boys would say, try to catch him at night doing it, and stories came back of him floating these rocks through the air. He wrote a little booklet called How the Pyramids Were Built. Now, he was smart enough to keep his mouth shut so he didn't get locked up by the government, like Tesla. But so there's all these secrets, that we've not been told about energy, frequency, that lives forever and ever. Amen. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed is what that Newtonian suggestion law was in, 8th grade physics. But that's not true, by the way. Energy is created and destroyed. Just look at the sun. The sun is creating new energy every day. Mm-hmm. But so there's an unlimited supply of energy available in our universe. And if that energy is unlimited, and light, you could say light doesn't get destroyed. Once light leaves, or an X-ray, or infrared, or gamma rays, or whatever, anything on the electromagnetic spectrum, once it leaves a star in the form of sun rays or star rays, it travels forever and ever, millions of light years. It's a frequency. Now, we happen just to see a limited amount of it. We have the visible light spectrum, from red to violet. Mm-hmm. And then outside of that, you have infrared, ultraviolet, lower and higher frequencies that we can't see. But just like we know the dog can hear the dog whistle, where there's some people that can see outside the visible spectrum. And now you start seeing ghosts. You start seeing fairies, elves, little alien dudes, light patterns around plants. And this is all real. It's just because we don't pick up on it, or most of us have been trained into this narrow spectrum. Again, back to the frequencies here. We've been entrained. We've entrained our minds. But most kids are outside of that spectrum when they're born. That's why babies for the first 6 months or a year, when you look in their eyes, it's like you can't get them to be in their bodies. They're still like their eyes are just these big pools of openness.
Mm-hmm.
And they haven't been what Toltec's masters call domesticated yet. They haven't been shut down into our frequencies.
Mm-hmm.
They're still operating in sort of, they're seeing all kinds of things outside of our spectrum, you know. So, Ascension that we're talking about tonight, there is a way to reopen our frequencies from the limited, crashed chakra system. Humans today are walking around with crashed chakra systems. Mm-hmm. And there is a way to reactivate, realign, reharmonize, rebalance, and actually it's not a matter of that higher frequencies are more holy. This is a misunderstanding. It has to do with aligned frequency. Our first three chakras, the bottom of your spine, your perineum, your sex, and your intuition and your solar plexus, are just as holy as the higher chakras, your heart, your throat, your third eye, and your crown chakra. We've come to be prejudiced against that. They are all necessary. Red is just as important as royal purple. Without red, there's no magma, there's no earth.
Mm-hmm.
There's no volcanoes. So in the ascension process, it's not a matter, and here's where huge spiritual misunderstandings have occurred on the planet. It is not a matter of speeding up your energy. It's not about just speeding up your energy at all.
Okay.
It is about getting it realigned with love, with source, with harmonic functioning together, like Inca shamans call it the rainbow body. Once your rainbow body, meaning red, orange, yellow, green, indigo, violet, your chakra system, the spinning wheel, blood, sweat, and tears. That's where he's getting that stuff from. When they are harmonized and functioning balancedly together, your rainbow body gets activated, and you are a fully full spectrum human being.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that makes sense. I mean, because human, I don't know if this is right, but hue, of course, color, so that would encompass the full color spectrum.
I like that. The human. And few woman.
I don't know. Sounds good.
I like that.
All right, it's that time, Tobias. Hold that right there, though. We are going to be right back, so stay tuned. Tobias Lars here on Truth Brigade Radio. Got to find it where it fails if you want to get to hell. Truth Brigade on AmericanFreedomRadio.com with our special guest tonight, Tobias Lars, talking about Ascension, the light body, and time travel. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to give us a call at 402-237-2525. And if you'd like to join us on the chat, that's over at TruthBrigade.com. Tobias, please continue. I really love what you're saying here, and it's making a lot of sense.
And, of course, I disappeared into some other universe.
We ended up on, you were explaining the colors and the full spectrum and aligning them, and then we had this epiphany about hue, the color men, and
Yeah, one of the spiritual misunderstandings I would suggest, and that I'm getting from my teachers and my teaching, is that it has crept into lots of spiritual schools that the higher chakras, in other words, your heart and your voice and your thinking, the third eye, and then your crown chakra, that these are somehow more pure or holier or closer to God and more attractive in God's eyes, these qualities, than your stomach, your intuition, your yellow, your orange, your sexuality, and your red, the grounded root chakra, that somehow those are less than. And this is very dangerous because we are judging half of the creation as less than. In our culture, this shows up as we worship brain power. We have ridiculous IQ tests, or we worship our children get good pats on their back if they can memorize things. but not if they can feel art or if they can imagine, that's punished almost if you are not controllable and fit into a box. But the whole human is obviously you need your legs, you need your bowel, you need your intestines, you need your pancreas, you need all those lower, quote, that your kidneys, your liver, you need all that, your sexuality. These are key grounding energies. And in some schools like Buddhism, Hinduism, yoga, and the worship religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, they're worship religions. They're basically what you would call in the Hindu religion, they divide it up. You can have jnana yoga, which is through mental faculties. You can have bhakti, which is with the heart, where you worship with love. Well, Christianity and Judaism and Islam are basically bhakti religions. You're supposed to love God, with your whole heart, and wholeheartedly love God and love others just like He loves you, and so forth. But they basically just reject sexuality as something sort of unpleasant that you have to deal with, and let's not talk about it. But that's very dangerous. Or your feelings in your third chakra. Our feelings are basically, if anyone ever has any feelings, we call it, oh, they got emotional, or they lost it, or they broke that.
Psycho.
They broke down. They broke down if they had a real feeling. Well,
yeah, what a baby.
Yeah, when you do this as a culture, what happens is you damage those aspects of yourself, and you get old and brittle. Notice how soft and flowing children are? It's because they're still in touch with that spontaneous feeling place. Become ye as little children. You will not enter the kingdom of heaven unless you become as little children. What is Jesus talking about when He says that, I can't be like a little kid. I have to steel myself. I have to lie all the time. I have to say, oh, I'm doing great. I'm fantastic. Couldn't be better. Never mind that I'm dragging my leg behind me because I've suppressed so many of my energies that my whole leg is shut down. Or, I get cancer, etc., and so forth. All diseases are emotion-based, period. All diseases are energy-based, period.
Yes.
Period. All of it. And we're going to take another 150 years to figure this out. It's like some huge revelation when, wow, what you eat actually affects how your skin feels, and then what's deeper than your diet even. Now we're finally realizing that diet is everything. And then we're going to finally realize that feelings are deeper than diet, and then energy is deeper than feelings. And then original consciousness is at the root source of it, underneath all of it. And you cannot heal stuff unless you deal with the original energy in ourselves. And that means all these energies are meant to be part of the rainbow equation, of the equation of us. If you don't deal with your sexuality, you get, let me guess here, congressmen sending pictures on Craigslist of themselves trying to hook up with women outside their marriage. Who would have thought? I'm being a little snide about it tonight because I get so tired of it sometimes. We've got to wake up to this. There was the congressman from New York who just, same old story we've heard 100 times before. Repressed sexuality, that's been so repressed so it acts out somewhere, So he has to resign. So we've got to deal with all the colors. Humans are pieces of the light spectrum on Earth. When you have a rainbow in the sky, this is just physics, So you take a prism and put white light through it. You get red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. That's physics. You can't argue with it. You put the sun's light through a prism, that's what you get. Well, we are made from the stuff of the earth. Now, if you don't believe in religious things, that's fine. We are made from the atoms of the earth. Every human body is carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, trace elements, minerals, so forth. We're an exact carbon copy. That's why we call it that. We are mainly carbon. We are a carbon copy of the earth itself, our bodies. So therefore, when you diffract light through us as well, it breaks into those same exact colors. Now, there's harmonious colors When we are vibrating harmoniously, it feels good to us. When we have twisted, shut down, blocked energies, it's sort of like if all of a sudden I could reach inside you, which some shamans, so the bad guys, can do, and actually shut off one of your arteries, right, we would die pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Actually reach in there and actually put a clamp on one of your arteries right by your heart, you would pass out because you're not getting any flow. You're not getting any blood flow to your heart. Well, when we do that with the energy channels in our bodies, the same thing happens.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get Alzheimer's, you get neuropathy, you get chronic fatigue syndrome, you get all these designer diseases because the energy channels are not flowing appropriately in our system.
Mm-hmm.
And so it has to do with harmonious flow. It's just like when you leave a river alone, it flows beautifully. Water has a natural, beautiful way of flowing. If you let it do that, now if you take water and try to capture it inside an artificially made cement basin, then you end up having to add chlorine and chemicals to it because we're thinking we're fighting what is the natural process.
Mm-hmm.
Back in Roman times, the way we had clean water is we simply used sand. We had natural wells that were with clay pipes and sand, and that's what perfectly mineralized the water, instead of using harsh chemicals. The natural energetic processes, whether it's the natural flow in our body of the chi, you can call it chi as the Qigong and Tai Chi masters do, or you can call it the life force.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter what you call it. But when you feel good. You know when there's a natural flow. And that's what heals. And eventually, you can choose, once you get back in touch with these energies inside yourself, you can actually choose and direct the frequencies. You can direct the energy to certain parts of your body, and as you become a master at this, and you reach what we call ascension. Ascension is from Jesus on the Mount of Transfiguration when he ascends, rises up in the air. That's where we get that expression from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tobias, let me read a few comments here. Maybe you can elaborate on. But getting back to where you were talking about the repression of sex, one of the listeners says, I don't think sexuality has been repressed. Look at all the single mothers on my college campus. I don't know what he's talking about because people are having sex and expressing sex all the time.
Yeah. No, what I mean here is the natural sex force has been thwarted and twisted, and simply expressing it, we're talking about natural expression of it, meaning aligned with your life force, without judgments against it. When you do sex, having judgments against it, this is not godly, this isn't good, even if you don't feel that on the surface, or you're engaging in sex that your better judgment or your inner guidance is saying this doesn't really feel that good to me in my spirit, in my energy, energetically. That's where you get all the sexual diseases. All of it is unaligned energies. Aligned with natural nature energies, it is absolutely healing. Yeah. So the old way was to simply shut it off because it has become mixed. It has become a polluted river. The sexual force has become a polluted river. It is mixed with denial energy, with vampirous energy, some people call it demonic energy, with twisted upside down energy. It's not natural flow. If the energy is not flowing naturally in your body, but it's flowing obsessively in one place, then that's obviously unhealthy, you know.
Yeah, and I see what the chat are saying because, I mean, you know, I don't have TV, so I'm not exposed to as much of this as other people are, but, I mean, even a Carl's Jr. commercial or billboards, music videos. I watched one today on Facebook, and I just about had a heart attack. I mean, I don't even know who the entertainer was. It was something about S&M and I don't know. It was just horrible. It was porn, basically.
Right.
So, I mean, I see what they're saying. Right. It appears that it's everywhere, but isn't that perversion kind of, I guess, a symptom of the suppression?
Exactly. That is when you push, energy will show up somewhere. So when you push down the natural expression or inhibit, repress, suppress the natural expression of sexuality in the innocent way, here's the radical way of saying it. If God can't be present with you when you're doing whatever you do sexually, then you're not doing it with God, with love. And I'm not talking, and this doesn't mean that it's all nicey-nicey and it's not lustful and all that stuff. It's just our concept of God is way off kilter. God created sex. God loves sex, as you've heard me say before. And so then it acts out in pornography. Poor young girls have, you know, bad relationships with their daddy, and underneath it's real denial and anger, and they might pretend, oh, I'm real happy doing this. I want to be a worker in the sex trade. But it's not real, you know. 98% of the time, I would say. It's absolutely twisted sex. There is dark light sex. And that is accepted all over our society. Dark light sex, meaning denial sex, kind of rage sex, or rebellion sex, that is expressed plentifully. But when you have actual, and I'm not talking namby-pamby, Valentine's Day, you know, stuff, I'm sorry, but it can be very lustful, very powerful, but still aligned with the source of the universe. That type of sex is very seldom seen. Occasionally it's shown in movies, you know. We all know, I mean, real love, and I'm not talking namby-pamby romantic love, that trapping love, that I own you and I'm going to put my web around you and guilt and all that crap gets infested in it too. Oh, I'm sorry, Tobias. Hold that right there. It's that time. And lively debate in the text chats if you'd like to join us. That's over at TruthBrigade.com. But stay tuned. We will be right back. Tobias Lars on Truth Brigade Radio. All right, welcome back. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight. Truth Brigade on AmericanFreedomRadio.com with Tobias Lars, author of Listening to the Sun and Awakening Souls, SoulCounseling.com or CourseOfAwakening.com is the website. And Tobias, please continue. So I want to talk, about, let's leave the sexuality for a minute. Of course, it's expressed in misused forms all over that's the whole point. You suppress it, and then it acts out. I always say, let's take sex back from the pornographers. Let's get rid of pornography in the sense that there will be no judgment against sex as pornographic. That is one of the heights of original sin or original judgment, that we judge it as bad. But that's because we're adding that to the soup. So in our whole system, the frequency spectrum of the human being, these colors, these energies flowing in our nervous system, we all know chiropractic works because if you get the nerves, the energy flowing through the nerves correctly, if one of your nerves dies, that whole part of your body atrophies. Well, the nerves are infused with electrical impulses. And the finer impulses of that is the energies, the consciousness energies. And when those are flowing correctly, the body is automatically supported. Aging really slows down. And that's why everybody will talk about, meditation and de-stressing and how that is really one of the major healers. But these energy systems in your body, once they flow accurately, and with joy, with enjoyment, you start melting and merging back into original energy bodies. Now, this is maybe hard to believe. We're so programmed that, we're just flesh bots, basically, flesh machines. But the flesh itself is made of energy, atoms. Every atom is just pure energy. Mm-hmm. Every atom is just like a little solar system. It's just pure space. It's like the sun is the nucleus, and then you have these planets around it called electrons, and it's mostly just empty space. We are literally mostly empty space. We are energy. And what's that energy made of? What is the ultimate particle? It's not quarks. It's not mesons. It's not, it's the God particle. The God particle is consciousness. Yes, that is the ultimate particle that physicists will never find until they become physicist shamans, physicist, yogis. And at that point, you start being able to dissolve and create the energies that you are. That's why a master like Jeshua ben David can turn into light at the Mount of Transfiguration and float off the ground and ascend. That's why yogis can do the same thing. And I know that's stretching it for many, many people. But the fact is, it's true. If you hunt around enough with an open mind, you'll find credible stories, credible instances, and more with normal humans, too. Mm-hmm. We bilocate, we have strange experiences that our mind tries to shut down. This is going to be happening more and more and more. We're going to feel like energy. I'm turning into energy. I'm floating. My friends saw me over there when I wasn't there. Strange, as these locks, the seals, the book of Revelation is so shrouded, but as these seals come undone, not only is the bad stuff going to surface, but also the good stuff, Mm-hmm. We've been living in a state of emergency for a long time. So the ascension process is not about escaping out of your body. It is not leave the horribly weak flesh behind and rise above your sexuality. That's a mistake or an old way that's been done in yogic circles. The true yoga, the true renunciance way is not meant to be a celibate suppression of energies. It can turn very strange that way. It's all meant to come to light. The body is part of the creation. It is part of God as well. All of it is simply energy. Instead of distinguishing, this is spirit, this is flesh, or this is my mind, this is my body, this is my, it's all one thing. It's all one thing. Mm-hmm. And as we start to ascend, an ascension process means that it all becomes free again. It becomes free to move. Masters over life and death. Most of us listening here, I'd say everybody, you've met angels. Now the Christians say, be careful, you will entertain angels unaware. There's been times in your life you've run into people, or there's so many stories of these beings or people appearing, disappearing, and afterwards we realized, what was that? Who was that? Or that they gave me something or helped me.
Or you turn back and they're not even there.
Exactly.
Or even the building you went into for shelter.
Yes, exactly. Many stories like that. And often they know how to, so we don't recognize it at the time. And you can find out why that process is the way it is. The more frustrated you are with God and the more angry, I suggest bring it right to him, to her, and say, help me explain, but you've got to be willing to let go of you thinking you know everything. How can you learn anything if you don't turn your cup up so you can catch the flow,
Exactly. If you already know everything, you certainly can't learn anything else. I love that, Tobias. But it is that time again, so we are going to take a short little break. InnerBodyAwakening.com, a wonderful tool to get in touch with that inner body. That's InnerBodyAwakening.com, but we are going to be right back. Stay tuned. Truth Brigade Radio. Back. Top of the second hour here tonight with Tobias Lars on Truth Brigade Radio. And Tobias, a few short minutes here, so please continue.
Sure.
You were talking to us about ascension.
So ascension is possible, but it is more like merging. It would be maybe a better way of saying it, becoming one again. Jesus says that I and my Father are now one. Yogananda will say it, the bucket of water simply merges with the whole ocean. So true ascension is maybe like Eckhart Tolle talks about, there's nothing left that I'm fighting. I'm simply here in the now all the time. So it's very similar descriptions. This idea of that we should ascend out of here and leave the crude, horrible, slow-vibrating, fleshly, fallen earth behind us is not correct. If we simply want to get out of here, we're abandoning this situation. It's sort of like when the whole country is collapsing or all, that things are going bad, you simply go AWOL and leave the scene. No, true ascension is really merging, reclaiming your shadow self, all those parts in your physical, emotional, spiritual bodies. And again, those are just sort of artificial delineation definitions. When they're all flowing and functioning and spiraling and moving again, then you can intentionally raise and lower the frequencies. And again, lower frequency is not worse. Higher frequency is not better. Violet is pretty, but so is red. Red happens to be a lower frequency. So what? It's very beautiful. Red roses are going to be the main theme here coming up in like 3 days.
Okay, so you're saying ascension isn't suppressing or moving beyond or not recognizing the so-called lower vibrations or frequency. It's aligning all of it to work together.
Yes, and that it's all it's all been created by the source. It's all good. The original deciding this is good, this is bad. If you judge your lower chakras, your sexuality, your feeling center in your stomach as bad, you have created the knowledge of good and evil. And in the knowledge of good and evil, you become a divided human being, a fractured, fallen, because you've decided this part of me is evil. It's very much just like those poor monks who used to take these whips to themselves until they bled. It still goes on today. All you got to do is Google it. It's all over in patriarchal religions. Flay your back open and somehow you'll go to heaven. It's just absolutely insanity. It's nothing. It's sadomasochism for Christ. It's ridiculous. I'm being pretty direct with it there, but on the other end too, if you're possessed by sort of addictions, you can't just allow them free rein either. That's these addictive behaviors, whether it's over-sexing, overeating, overthinking, over anything, that becomes obsessive-compulsive as well. So it's all individual. But basically, when you're flowing harmoniously, nature is a good example. When you sit in nature, it tends to naturally balance you. If nature that's left alone, and that tends to naturally balance you. And or if you just simply become quiet, then your natural systems inside you tend to want to clean themselves up. I did a flotation. I'd never done it before. I floated in a sensory deprivation tank this week.
Awesome, Tobias. Let's talk about that. When we come back from this short break, we will be right back with a much longer segment. Tobias Lars, author of Listening to the Sun, soulcounseling.com. Stay tuned. All right, welcome back. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight. Truth Brigade on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. If you would like to join us for the text chat tonight, that's over at TruthBrigade.com. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to give us a call at 402-237 2525. That's 402-AFR-2525. We are talking about Ascension, the light body, and time travel with Tobias Lars tonight. He is a personal awakening coach and soul counselor. InnerBodyAwakening.com is the website. And Tobias, you were going to tell us about your experience with a sensory deprivation tank. I'd love to hear all about it.
Yeah. So I know some of this when you start talking about the light body and Ascension. It sort of can get classified into New Age woo-woo stuff, you know. But there is a real aspect to all this, and luckily it is safeguarded. It's physics, and it's much bigger than our belief systems. It's basically spiritual physics. But as you align your energies again, not only do you feel good, this is what's so beautiful about the way the whole system is set up, that whoever created the universe, I like to believe in a Father God, but other people like Mother God. Paramountly, you're going to only use it as the Mother Goddess, and others, whatever description you want, sexless and so forth. But as you align through meditation techniques, through yoga, through Qigong, through shamanic practices, as you align to that which is naturally happening within you anyway, it becomes more enjoyable to have and be in your body, to enjoy food, to enjoy sex, to enjoy your feelings, to enjoy everything around you. It becomes an interplay. It's a natural awakening. It's really through a stopping, a be still, becoming still, and know that I am God. I am that I am. It's the exact same thing, one of the holiest mantras that Patanjali, the ancient yoga guy who delineates all the yogic powers, I am that. It's when you become the source. And these are all words I'm describing tonight. But this happens naturally just through relaxation. Be still and know that I'm God. So a flotation tank, you become very still because you're floating. There's no weight on your spine. Your brain sort of spends the first 10, 15 minutes just sort of unwinding, and then most often you enter into some states that are really a merging samadhi, oneness state when you do flotation. It can also be confrontive. It can be scary a little bit for people. You know, it depends on what's going on inside you. A few people will throw up. That's how toxic we are as humans, that when we get complete rest, there's so much toxicity in us that a few people out of every 100 will feel nauseous and actually want to throw up because their body is going, finally, I've got some time here when you're not doing stuff all the time that I can collect these toxins and try to get them out of the body. It's interesting that that's also what occurs when you do ayahuasca ceremonies. One of the first things during every ceremony, or certainly if you've never done it before, is your body basically needs very practical detoxing, so people purge. But so becoming still, that's why meditation is so powerful. Any practice that helps you go into theta, or feeling these altered states on altars, right? You naturally start merging with the oneness. And then ascension occurs naturally. Ascension when you become one with everything, how can you not be ascended? You're merged with everything. You are becoming God. I and my Father are one. And that's an immensely restful, beautiful, fearless, enjoyable place. And we get glimpses of it, all of us. And then finally we get tired of having stress in our lives, and we feel hopeless, and it seems endless, and we want to kill ourselves, and we want to get rid of our government, and we want to go after this. Anyway, we go through all that stuff, and we think we can. It's not an easy game, it seems, but there are methods that you can help yourself to start having this practically happen for yourself. And one of those is simply stopping. Don Juan used to call it stopping the world when he worked with Carlos Castaneda. You know, those books, the Journey to Ixtlan, The Sorcerer's Way. He called it stopping the world, and he would joke with Carlos because he was an anthropology professor, I think at USC, that he said, your mind is so stubborn and it's so hard, but you're a real good test case for me. If I can stop your mind, I can stop anybody's mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the same, this cessation of thought, which doesn't make for good radio, by the way, so we have to keep talking. If we just have, quote, dead air. We should do that, Christie. We should do a show where we just simply have nothing for an hour. We're just doing complete oneness merging and see how the sponsors like it.
Dead air for an hour, minus the breaks. That'll go over well. You know what, though? We can do, some kind of meditation or some kind of experiment, like weather manipulation or cloud busting or something like that on the air.
Yeah. One of the simplest ways to access that which is natural, natural things put you naturally in touch with it. If you play music, it's incredibly therapeutic. If you play guitar or keyboards or anything, you just sort of merge with it and you become very comfortable. You feel good. Sitting in nature, but also a direct approach, which is one of the most powerful, it's an ancient technique, is simply feeling your inner body. Your inner body is that energy body that makes your physical body. It is more fundamental. It's like the blueprint of your physical body. It's what tells your body where to stop growing when you're healing a cut, for instance. It knows exactly how to fill that back in perfectly. Why? Because it's simply recoalescing energy onto that blueprint. It's a three-dimensional blueprint. And you can feel your inner body. And you do that simply by noticing, you notice your hands. You just notice your hands. And you put your attention on sort of the inside of your hands, the energy hands. And you do the same with your feet. And you need to take some time and slow down and do it. But when you feel that tingling in your hands, that little warmth in your hands, you're starting, and people go, it's just the blood flow. No, it's not just the blood flow. You'll start feeling this inner energy body. Now, your ego mind is going to freak out if you're not used to doing it. Go, don't stop doing that. That's stupid. Why are you even doing that? It's not going to do anything. You got all these other problems you have to think of. That's very natural. So it takes a little learning, just like the first time you learned to ride a bike. You had to do it 5 to 10 times before you could actually do it. But feeling your own inner body will naturally start putting you into this merged state of merging ascension. And that's one of the things I do with people that's just so powerful, because it shuts the mind off. Once you give the mind something to do, it's sort of like giving your dog a bone. The dog will leave you alone if you give him a bone. Throw the dog a bone. I know. Bentley's looking at me going, really? Where's my bone? Promises? Promises.
Bentley, you get your bone later. We're busy now.
But that monkey mind, they call it in the East, too. You know, the monkey mind. If you watch monkeys, very seldom are they sitting still, like macaques, you know. They're just sort of running all the time. And if you can get that to settle down, and one easiest way I know, you go to Inner Body Awakening, that's practical help there. I have a guided meditation there that I do for people. You have to buy it because I have to eat occasionally still, although I'm working on eating less and less. But and you can all get this directly from the universe, you know. But the inner body is one of the most powerful gateways that's been used by everybody since time immemorial. And Eckhart talks about it a little bit, but it's a very powerful method of feeling your inner energy body. Because once you have direct proof, experiential noticing and doing, it becomes real for you. And after a while, you can do it anywhere. You can do it throughout the day. But like I said at first, you need to do it a few times, just like anything else. You didn't know how to write the first time you picked up a pencil, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You just need to do it a few times, and it's just a matter of relaxing and listening. Can you handle that? Can you lay down and listen? Well, if you can do that, you can learn how to feel your inner energy body, you know. It's meant to be fun. It's meant to be enjoyable, you know. Going back home to oneness is our natural fallback position. It really is. It's not all this heavy, hard, difficult stress, push, you know, no pain, no gain. It's just not that way. And usually it takes us hitting the wall when we finally relax. That's why it's often someone goes through a terrible, horrible, traumatic time, and that's when they finally have a big awakening. Because that's what it takes for us to finally let go and go, I give up. And when we give up, then the source, God, the own energy in our body flows in and says, I thought you'd never let me do this for you. And that's when we finally have some sort of awakening, and then we immediately start a church or some movement because we want to try to share it with other people.
Right, listening to the sun and...
Yeah, exactly. I still have that problem.
Well, I appreciate you sharing those steps with us. And once again, innerbodyawakening.com. You can, you know, Tobias can walk you through the whole process, awesome MP3. And, you know, Tobias, someone is asking about their pineal gland here on the chat. And will this Inner Body Awakening kind of help us to decalcify? Or
anything,
at least bring back to life?
I don't know what else could. You know, there's no other way to get to that. It's in the center of your brain, basically. So, yes, it's the only thing I know that could, you know, besides changing your diet and as well. Yeah. And actually, the Shirshana, the headstand, the yogic headstand is actually probably very helpful as well for that.
Oh, yeah. I hang on my inverter, and I know it works for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, not good with the headstands anymore. But,
right.
I mean, yeah, cleaning out the diet, that's the most important thing. Stop putting in those mineral deposits and poisons and toxins that are calcifying it to begin with, and do those exercises. You know, we've talked about it on here before, Tobias, and you mentioned spinning around, jumping, you know, so all of these things will help, but there is no, you know, magic pill. I think they were asking about certain supplements and stuff. And, you know, maybe there are things that will help clean you out, but there is no magic pill to do that. It's a process. So
and what I would suggest
all of it, Inner Body Awakening, do the exercises, the headstands, maybe use some essential oils, meditation. I mean, all of these things together, the process is what's going to get you back in line again.
Massage, just natural walking.
Oh, yeah.
Just walking. If you go out and walk and just be in your body, feel your feet and your hands, be in your body, not in your head. Just walk and breathe. It's the most healing thing possible. The natural things heal us. Air, you know, walking.
Take your shoes off. Stick your feet in the dirt. Ground. Yeah. Let the earth kind of, I guess, absorb some of that negative energy or help get you in line. I mean, these really simple things make a major difference.
Exactly. And you don't have to. I mean, you can do it through, you know, plastic sneakers, too, actually, because you can. But what I was going to say is the amazing thing is, the inner body I find is so powerful because it basically is the jump start activation of the whole system. You're going to the source where the main plug-in is, the energy source. And you plug that back in by enjoying feeling your own inner energy. It feeds your whole system. The pineal gland is simply the third eye. It is one of the chakras. And for the fully functioning, full-spectrum human, it all needs to be working. Psychics, you know, can overdevelop their third eye. And that's not healthy either, you know. It's sort of like a bodybuilder just working out his arms,
Yeah, or his pecs.
And now I'm going to be spiritually incorrect. That's why a lot of psychics sometimes, their bodies look icky and they don't look that good. Because they've neglected other parts of themselves and they're over-relying on their third eye. That's not healthy either. Yeah, so you can read people's stuff. Big deal. Why are you smoking so much? Or whatever, right? I mean, I remember there was a woman who used to run a store here in town, and I don't know, let's pick one. Sylvia Brown, the woman that Montel has on. I joke about it, but come on. Does she feel healthy to you guys? Come on, get real. Yeah, she might have some psychic powers, but do any of the guys out there want to go on a date with her?
I'm not sure. No one at least is called into the show and let me know.
I'm teasing. Everyone has their right way of doing it. But the point is, we tend to overemphasize, something. So just opening the pineal gland in and of itself can be very unbalanced. It's like developing powers. Psychic powers are really sort of no-no in the true spiritual traditions because they tend to seduce people. Oh, wow, I can do parlor tricks and impress people with my psychic abilities. Whoop-de-doo, la-di-frickin-da. That's nothing to be proud of. And then you have gullible people, thinking that you can help them, pick the lottery numbers. These powers come naturally, You can read people, you can feel their energies, and luckily, the source is in charge of it, that unless you have love and respect with it, they're soon taken away, or you self-destruct.
Okay, Tobias, I'm sorry. Hold that right there. It's that time again. But we're going to be right back. Stay tuned. Tobias Lars on Truth Brigade Radio. All right, I'll order me some of that. Peace of mind. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight with Tobias Lars. Welcome back. Talking about Ascension, the light body, and time travel. And Tobias, let's kind of talk about one of the things you mentioned was about the light body and its relation to UFOs. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, first I want to again reiterate, because there's so much teaching that I think has brought us way away from being just simply connected with Source, with God. The light body is then meant to activate and merge with the physical body so the two become one. In fact, the fully activated light being, again, go back to Jesus ascending on the Mount of Transfiguration, he becomes transfigured. He fills with light from the inside, and his flesh sort of becomes light as well. And then gravity doesn't hold him, and he floats up in the air and talks to Elijah and Moses show up, because they're also ascended masters. There are beings that have done this. Babaji, Yogananda, Jesus, various Melchizedeks. Melchizedeks just means ascended. Thoth, Kutumi, Saint Germain. I'm naming some that you can Google and look at. But there's lots unknown ones as well. Emil, and various siddhas. In the Indian tradition, they're called siddhas. So this is possible. I know it sounds so far out to people that are just
not at all
starting to listen to this stuff, but it is a fact, and we're needing desperately to reawaken to that we potentially have these abilities. Now, we don't like the metal detectors at the airports. Now, the ultimate soul detectors will not let you pass through the gate of death unless you have all your energies moving and up to speed. You can't just understand all this with your mind. That's the boo-boo. That's the booby prize. Understanding is standing under. Look at the word. That's standing under the true gifts of Source. Mental understanding is like, oh, that's boring. Actually feeling the energies, now it starts getting exciting, So there's various traditions. The UFO thing is so unclassifiable. I wish they declassify all that stuff. But we can't classify it because we're dealing with plasma ships. What does that mean? We're dealing with beings that are creating ships around their bodies. A free being, the Merkaba, the Ka of the ancient Egyptians, is the free soul. The reason the Jewish star looks the way it does is because that's a two-dimensional representation of something called the Merkaba, which is actually original Atlantean teachings that then went to Egypt when Atlantis sank, and then the Jewish, Moses took that teaching on to the Jews. This is those two pyramidal shapes that one, the apex is pointing down and one is pointing up. And when you spin them in counter-rotating fields, just like Tesla and company, von Neumann did at the Philadelphia experiment, you create rips in the space-time continuum. Now, when you do it with artificial means and the consciousness is not evolved, you get the Philadelphia experiment, and you get very strange manifestations. When you do it naturally through love and through heart, and I want Source's plan for the universe, I want to enjoy the creation, then these gifts come to you naturally. Why would you spend all this time creating a spacecraft when the ultimate spacecraft is your body?
Exactly.
When you travel through the dimensions in your awakened stellar, I mean that in every way, beautiful, perfect body, the diamond body, the awake body, you literally walk the stairway to heaven up and down. When the angels manifest down here, they come down the dimensional stairs of heaven, and they manifest the physical body. Now, you can often catch them because their eyes are a little too bright, and their bodies look perfect, and they have no blemishes, and they just feel really comfortable. And then when you walk around the corner and you go, God, who was that? I want to talk to them again, and you come back around the corner, and the whole truck and everything they were in is gone. Right? And that's that. And this is not hocus pocus and strange magic. It is normal spiritual physics. It is simply, and just like steam is very different than ice. Ice is our body right now, and steam is when you heat your body, kundalini heat, Pentecostal fire. The fire, tongues of fire were upon the apostles at the day of Pentecost. Why? Because there's an actual look, it manifests like fire. The Maxine flame that used to burn openly on the altar in Peru, from Lemuria, the eternal flame, is the fiery flame that the fiery furnace of the Old Testament. See, all of it has pieces of it. It all makes sense once you start seeing the bigger picture. It is a burning. The reason we sacrificed animals, which is pretty damn, let's face it, crude and barbaric, slitting the throats of animals and sacrificing, because that was a fallen, misused state of the fact that this heavenly fire transmutes, combusts, assumes, the assumption. Assume means to lift up. Ascends the physical body. And then we thought, if we burn the bodies with fire, then we'll get that gift too. It doesn't work that way. But it's a natural kundalini fire, and that's why you feel hot in your belly. You ever felt the heat,
And the vibration.
Yeah, sexual energy can turn into physical heat. Well, that's because that's the actual it. It's starting to... and we don't want to do spontaneous combustion. That's the suppressed way of doing it, But you literally do conscious combust up these cells and make them free into free energy. This is all going to be discovered more and more and more as a natural frequency-directed process. But
absolutely. Yeah. But we can't... waiting for someone else to discover it and tell us about it, that's not going to happen because, all of these things are natural, innate within us. And, I guess if you listen to the show, you're already traveling and experiencing some of these things we're talking about tonight, or ESP, all of these things we're told are, paranormal, not normal, not natural, or somehow demonic or whatever the different lines of beliefs are. But, we're doing it all the time when we sleep, when we daydream. And what I want to know, Tobias, is how can we become more conscious about it? Because I mean, in my life, I'll just say some of my most miraculous, just mind-blowing, like, what the heck? Okay, you know, I'm still thinking, like, how did that happen? But most of those most brilliant experiences, I didn't ask for. I didn't say, okay, hey, God, can you make me time travel? Or, you know, nothing like that. They just kind of happened spontaneously, or, you know, appeared to be spontaneous. So how can we become more conscious or more in control of these types of experiences and abilities?
And that's exactly it. With less control, we get more control when we let go of control. And I know people are like, what the hell?
So the surrender thing.
Quit giving us one of those paradoxes. I hate those things. All right. But when we relax, it's that state between sleep and awake when magic happens. When we surrender, when we give in, when we allow the natural process. So the more we relax, be still, and you will know, you know, that I am God, that you are part of God. And so it's in this stillness seems to be a very common theme. And this doesn't mean you sit there quietly all the time and don't do anything. No, you can be completely in the oneness and, you know, running track and field. I mean, that's the runner's high, you know. I remember as a swimmer, it would happen occasionally to me where all of a sudden I would be completely rejuvenated. It made no sense at all. You'd enter these altered states of sort of beyond anaerobic and aerobic exercise. It just broke all the laws of physics and oxygenation, you know. So the places of relaxing, dropping inward, just being meditative states. The inner body, feeling your inner body, to me is the most powerful portal, because it is tangible, it's touchable. You're feeling your hands and your feet and your whole body. That's different. Mind exercises are good too, but not everyone can approach it. Everyone can approach it through feeling their own inner energy body. You're right. And it is a process of giving up control to do that. How unusual, give up control to have more control. But you're right. I'm even thinking back in where I guess, you know, I went through different stages, and there was a stage where I realized that not everybody was aware of these things. So then I had to, I guess, control myself to not kind of fall into those states. I think a lot of us have experienced that. So you're right. It is the control, the limitations that we end up imposing upon ourselves. Breathing, just basic vipassana, or just basic noticing your breath, being very careful to open your diaphragm, you know, having a deep, natural, circulating breath along with feeling your inner body are the two simplest access gateways. Your mind naturally slows down, and then just practice. And then you're going to be able to start feeling your chakras. It is really cool. I just want to share. It's fun. When you can start feeling your chakras, like as energetic centers, and I'm talking about your sexual energy here in a whole new level. It's a whole different ballgame. Instead of you feeling it controls you, you can direct it. Or your heart, opening your heart gate, or your voice, or being able to see and use your inner third sight, and feeling with your solar plexus when you meet people. You can actually go, it's like you can become infinitesimally small. Patanjali in his Yoga Sutras describe all the yogic powers. They're not yogic powers, they're natural abilities. They're not paranormal, they're absolutely normal, you know. And why give them to the demons? You know, I know some fundamentalists call it, it's demonic stuff. Yeah, well, you've given all these powers away to the demons, so that's why they can bug you.
Mm-hmm.
Take them back.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you take the power back from the Wicked Witch of the West, what happens to her? She melts.
Mm-hmm.
You know? She melts away. So as soon as we reclaim that which was naturally given to us on our original birthday, then no longer is it in the hands of, quote, the dark side. I used to have a little saying I'd say, why is there a power in the black? Because that's where we left it.
Oh.
We got scared of our own powers that we said, oh, this is occult and dark and black magic and bad stuff. Well, it's somewhere, so if you abandon it, it goes somewhere. If you abandon a child, that child goes somewhere, usually to a much less fun place than your home.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And I'm not touching on your situation, Christie. You know that.
Yeah.
But, you know, they usually end up, when we allow them with open arms, when we allow that which is naturally ours, the glory that surrounds, the Gloria, whether it's Jim Morrison singing Gloria or Jesus having the glory around his head, those halos are real. That's a real physical manifestation when the ascended master light body is fully functioning in a human being. We glow. Much better glow than Estee Lauder's latest cream, let me tell you that. You get a lot better luster and glow, natural beauty, from this inner body and this inner kundalini, this inner Holy Ghost. And it's all accessible. It's just that we're kind of scared to reclaim it. There's so many programs against it. But when you decide you want it, your life will take on a whole new frequency.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Very well said, Tobias. But it is that time again, so stay tuned. We are going to be right back after this short break. InnerBodyAwakening.com. Stay tuned. Tobias Lars on Truth Brigade Radio. Welcome back. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight. Truth Brigade on AmericanFreedomRadio.com with Tobias Lars, author of Listening to the Sun and creator of Inner Body Awakening, which you can find at InnerBodyAwakening.com. Tobias, this is the last segment. Let me ask you this, though, getting back to the sensory deprivation tank, did you experience any time travel, soul travel, astral travel?
Absolutely. It's the first... You decompress for about 10, 15 minutes. And it's different every time you do it, I would suspect, and that's what people have said, too.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, I was feeling how we manufacture our bodies. I could feel how we, as spirit energy, coalesce and blueprint our own bodies. It was amazing. Mm-hmm. At times, I would feel like I was traveling through the galaxy, feeling different planets or different places where I exist, aspects of my soul.
Mm-hmm.
I revisited some places that felt like what I'd experienced doing on some certain ayahuasca ceremonies in the Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
This particular, and it's unique. Whatever your soul history is, we have Soul History, the Book of Life or the Akashic Records. That will tend, if you want to, you can also just float and watch and have the colors and the music playing and just have total relaxation. Most of the float centers, I think, will promote it as health benefits, which it has amazing health benefits because just that level of relaxation will take care of all kinds of chronic pains and help your body realign itself. But I felt myself traveling in the sense that I'm accessing, while I'm in the tank, time became very flexible. It felt like 40 minutes. I was in there, I would have guessed it was about 40 minutes. It was 2 hours. Some people will say it felt like 10 minutes. It felt like a very long time. Time quits functioning the way you're used to it. I mean, basically your brain is not having to handle your body the way it does all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of drop more into your central nervous system. And you become more centered doing these floats. And it's quite a sensation of floating, really. I felt like I was floating in space, literally out in the cosmos, and how I was sort of being birthed in the womb. You know, I'm in a womb in a sense. I'm making my own body. I don't know how else to describe it. That was a new sensation for me.
Mm-hmm.
Another sensation is feeling really one with the cosmos. I feel galactic. I don't know how else to say it. You know, I feel suns. I feel I feel universal. You know, a samadhi experience can occur for people as well.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said before, you can also throw up.
Okay, so people get sick in that situation?
No, I shouldn't even repeat that, really. Very seldom, but, you know, we carry so much stress in our bodies. I think 2% out of 100, 2 out of 100 people might at first feel some nausea. But it's just like, you know, you finally settle down at such a deep level, your body goes, oh, great, I can finally deal with this energy you've been carrying for 22 years, and that you're about to get cancer from unless we clear these energies. And so sometimes you can feel little pops and clicks and pains as the body heals. You know, pain is not bad. Pain is simply either a warning light on your dashboard or it's an actual healing process going on.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
pain is actually the symptom of, when something itches and stuff. It's often when it's healing itself because it's regrowing itself. Mm-hmm. There's no limit to what we can do. We can why can't we recoalesce cells instantly? And then we call that a miracle when someone heals their broken hand instantly. It's not a miracle. It's just all energy.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
What's our natural state? We don't have to focus on, our bodies, like you mentioned, when we're sick or whatever. And in fact, we just talked about this last night. Your body is already doing the work it needs to do to rid itself of that malady. So embrace that. And isn't it amazing that your body's already doing it? It already knows what to do.
Yeah.
So stop working against it.
And that's why we need sleep, because at sleep it goes, oh, great, at least you've shut up for a while and I can kind of do house cleaning while you're asleep, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But that's why, Masters, when you become more and more in touch with your own inner body and you just feel it as an energy body, I am energy. I am a piece of the source energy. Mm-hmm. I am an eruption of the source energy. I am a piece of God.
Mm-hmm.
We are.
Yeah.
You can spend thousands of eons running from that fact and pretending you're a piece of nothing or a sinner or whatever you want to call it. You can do that. But as soon as you relax enough, all of a sudden you're back there. Oh, no, I'm a God again. I'm a piece of God, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We're not the God. We're not the source. I haven't met anyone yet that is the source. Mm-hmm. But we are certainly carbon clone copies of it. We are chips off the old block. We are pieces of the source energy that made everything. And that feels really good. Isn't that cool?
Mm-hmm.
It feels good to relax into God. Relax into your Godness. Relax into your Godness. I surrender back into. I let go and let God. I feel, and you can trigger that. See, once you reach surrender, and what I mean by that is letting go, you don't do anything anymore.
Stop trying to control everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And certain ways of doing that is floating in a flotation tank, total meditation, do yoga for an hour, and then after you lay down and rest, that's when you do the merging. Or feel your inner body and just go directly to it. I do it all the time. I don't know what's more pleasurable. I don't know anything that's more pleasurable than feeling my inner body.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. It's like orgasm, ecstasy. I can be doing anything, you know. And for years I used to just want to go home and just sit in that field. I just want to sit in it. It's called the Buddha field. You can make up all kinds of names and schools and teachings and all this stuff. It's all true.
Oh, gosh, Tobias, I am so sorry. We are out of time, but thank you so much. Very well said. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and time with us tonight. Thank you all for being here tonight. Freeman is coming up next, so stay tuned. Abundant blessings and love to all. We will see you tomorrow night. Truth Brigade Radio.
A very wealthy U.S. citizen is predicting that in 2011 we will witness the most important day in America in more